When Josh Eilert was introduced as the interim coach for the West Virginia Mountaineer basketball team, Gordon Gee laughingly and jokingly said, if he wins the national championship, he will be hired as the permanent coach. Well, maybe he wasn't joking. The Mountaineer Paul and I are going to talk about that right after this word from our sponsor.
This episode of Hoops in the Hills is brought to you by Dutch Miller Automotive, where friends and family pricing means you get the best deal right up front on any new or pre-loved vehicle in stock every time.
With brands like Chevrolet, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, Kia, Hyundai, Ford, GMC, Buick, and Subaru, the Dutch Miller Automotive family is always growing and ready to put you in the car or truck you've been searching for.
Check out our inventory across West Virginia at DutchMillerAuto.com or come in today to the home of friends and family pricing, only at a Dutch Miller Automotive store near you.
What is up, college hoops fans, Mountaineer fans? We are here with another episode of Hoops from the Hills. I am Couz.
And my name is Mountaineer Paul.
And folks, we had some news come out. We are recording this actually on August 26th. You probably aren't watching it until August the 27th, but some news came out today, or actually I think it came out a couple of days ago, but Paul and I just found it today. West Virginia President Gordon Gee did an interview recently with the Daily Athenaeum, which is the newspaper that covers West Virginia University. Well, they obviously asked him some questions about, the current cuts and everything that are going on at the university with different programs and things like that, different faculty cuts and all that. But they also asked him a few questions about the future of West Virginia Mountaineer basketball, specifically about Josh Eilert, and then later also some stuff about Bob Huggins. But the one that really caught my attention, and obviously I also want to mention Voice of Morgantown. They were the place where we first saw this report, but it was originally from the Daily Athenaeum. So I want to give a shout out to both of those outlets. But Gee made some comments about Josh Eilert specifically, and I want to share that with you real quick, and then I'm going to let Paul give his thoughts on it. Comments. The question was, transitioning over to sports, with Josh Eilert being named the interim head coach for the basketball team, have there been any discussions between you and Wren Baker as far as possible plans after the season? And obviously that was a question from the Daily Athenaeum. Here's Gee's response. Well, I told our basketball coach, if he wins the national championship, we'll extend him another year. I think that he is an interim coach, but I will say he has hired a young staff, and they've been doing great things. And I have high hopes that they're going to do very well. But our intent, and here's what I call the key phrase of this paragraph, in my opinion, of this whole article. But our intent is to hire a permanent basketball coach at the end of the season. So, Paul, what were your thoughts when you saw that?
Well, I think the first thought, and we have a saying in the recovery community, first thought wrong, right? Because a lot of times my first thought is to jump to a conclusion or things like that. But generally speaking, I think first thought was, okay, so basically he's saying that Josh Eilert's got to win the national championship in order to keep his job. You can look at it a couple different ways. One is, okay, Josh Eilert has to do really, really well or else they'll go in another direction, which is probably short-sighted. We've heard a lot of great things about Josh Eilert, and I personally think we're lucky to have him. I think he's going to do a wonderful job. And it's not really fair to be making comments like this anyway before the season starts. The other thing I thought was, okay, all he really said was we're going to hire a permanent coach. And that could still be Josh Eilert. He could just be alluding to maybe we're taking the interim tag away. Now, that's probably me thinking maybe a little more hopefully here, but I still think, man, there's a lot left unsaid there. I don't know if they followed up and just didn't publish it or what, but I would have followed up on that one and asked for a little bit more clarity, Couz, because I'm just kind of shocked over the comment myself, man. What about you?
Yeah, I am. Now, like you and I were talking off camera, it's hard to get full context when you can't see body language, you can't hear tone. Did Gordon Gee laugh again when he made the national championship comment? We don't know. And the writer didn't specify that. So, maybe he said that in jest. But what is telling to me is, number one, he said he made sure to say he is an interim coach.
Mm-hmm.
He made sure to say that, right? Then he followed it up with a sentence that said we plan to hire a permanent coach. And I don't know, to me, without being in the room when the interview took place, it's hard for me to see that any other way than saying, to me, if you read between the lines, he's saying we don't intend on keeping Josh Eilert here outside of a miraculous season of winning a national title. Maybe I'm reading too much into it, and you guys let me know in the comments if I am. But I don't know how, without seeing body language and hearing tone, I don't think there's any other way to take it, Paul.
That's I lean towards what you said, but to jump all the way on that side is, for me, I like to think about the entire part of it. And he also, certainly, if he come out and said, no, I meant Josh is in the running, but we're hiring a permanent coach next year, Josh or otherwise.
Yeah.
That I could get on board with a little bit more because Josh's name's included in the possibility. Obviously, Josh controls his destiny, and if this team wins 17 games and makes the NIT, then we know what Gordon said today was really true, right? Or at least we think that's what he meant. But if Josh Eilert wins and the staff wins 25, 28 games, I think he handcuffs him. I don't think it's going to take a national championship. I personally don't think that. I think all he's really got to do is get out of the first round, and I think he makes a really strong case to stay in quite a while. So,
well, here, if you remember, you and I talked about this before, and here's my gut feeling on it. And I could be wrong. This is just me looking at it from my point of view, kind of basing it on how West Virginia University handles things and has handled things in the past. And whether this is right or wrong, I don't know.
Erasing the stain.
Right. I think I'm of the opinion that West Virginia University will want to get rid of any connection to Bob Huggins whatsoever.
Yeah, that's a great point.
And completely start over again. And I think it would take something like a Final Four, maybe an Elite Eight, something like that. Because to me, if Eilert does that, you're going to have boosters, you're going to have fans clamoring for him to keep the job. And it might be hard to get rid of him at that point. So, yeah. I think going to the tournament even won't be enough. In my opinion, I think it will take a Final Four, Elite Eight, maybe a Sweet 16. I don't know, but it's going to take a deep run in the tournament, in my opinion, for him to keep the job. Because I don't think they have any intent of keeping him. Now, I could be wrong on that, but that's just I've felt that from the beginning.
Well, great point. And I'll say this. I think this staff is playing things smart. Obviously, who's the last guy we picked up? Noah Farrakhan, right? He's not playing this year.
Right.
He's not going to play this year unless something unforeseen happens and Raekwon Battle doesn't get his waiver.
Right.
Noah Farrakhan is playing next year and the year after that. There are other players on this team that have that potential to play an extra year. Ofri is another guy that I think is going to have a bright future in Morgantown, obviously. So I think these guys are going to try to make it really hard to be let go, because similar to how what Nico was to Neil Brown, these guys can be for Josh Eilert and company. Hey, you let me go, you stand the chance of losing a former 5-star guy in Farrakhan and a guy that has a lot of potential in Ofri and others. There are others on this roster that can play beyond this year that have a lot of potential. Plus, they're in the mix for several 5-star guys right now. I mean, they really are doing a great job on the recruiting circuit. I think that's no secret. And so I like that they're hopefully making themselves indispensable, which is really smart.
Yeah. Yeah, it is, man, but I just don't know. Like I said, I just got a feeling. And I'm gonna link to the Daily Athenium article. I recommend you guys go read this whole article. Like I said, even the parts in there about West Virginia and the cuts they're making in academics and things like that. As a president of a university, I do admire his honesty. I do he's very at times he's very forthcoming about things that maybe other presidents wouldn't be. So I do respect that part. But I don't know, man. Just you guys read the article. See if you feel the same way I do. But there were a few times I felt like he kind of contradicted himself in there, basically. And back to the Eilert thing, though. Paul and I, before we started recording, we're talking about how, to me, this almost seems like he could be putting Wren Baker in tough situations, because at some point, Wren's probably now going to get a question about these comments that Gordon made, right? And Wren's going to have to deflect them or defend them or something, and that puts him because he's trying to treat Josh like, hey, he's the coach. We're not talking about being an interim right now. We're letting him focus on the season, yada yada, right? He's trying to make it out like, hey, let's focus on the here and now and worry about the future when it gets here. And then you've got Guy making these comments, and I just think it's a little bit contradictory to a degree as to how they're.
Great point.
And I don't think it's Wren's fault, because I think Wren is doing his best, but I think Wren's boss is putting him in tough situations here. Is what I think.
Well,
they need to be communicating the same message, consistent messaging, and they're not.
This is an example of, in my opinion, you're right on the money here. What is Gordon Gee doing by making these comments? He's putting the university in the news, who has been in the news more than probably any other university in the country, outside of a couple.
Yeah, and it's not positive this time again.
And it's not positive. And Wren Baker's like, can I get a freaking break? And because at the end of the day, yeah, Gordon Gee has to answer questions and deal with things, but not like Wren Baker. Wren Baker is really the face of this program right now, along with, I guess you could say, Neil Brown to a degree, whether positively or negatively. But really, Wren Baker is at the head of the line right now as far as the person people kind of assign blame or credit to, talking about the crap storm that he's had to deal with. And people are watching really closely, I would imagine, and that includes probably future possible employers, to see how he responds to all this. Promise you, it's not lost on people how he responds to all this, and people in the industry know how difficult Gordon Gee can be to deal with, because it's very well documented. So he's going through the ringer, and I feel bad for him, man, because it's like every time he turns around, there's something else.
And that actually is a great segue. Also, ask Guy about Baker in this article, and I'm going to get to that section, and then we're going to talk about Huggins as well. Here's the one about Baker. The question was this: Wren Baker, hired last November, hasn't even been on the job for a full year, but he's had to deal with head coaching changes in 3 major sports. Not yet in baseball, but there was the release by Maisie that he'll be stepping aside after the season. What can you say about Baker's performance? Here's Gordon Gee's response. Oh, he's so smart. He's brilliant. I think that he's exactly what we need. He's young. He's aggressive. He understands NIL. He understands the portal. He understands all those things. I will put him on a pedestal and bow down to him. Very weird statement. And he's highly thought of nationally. It was a great hire for us. So what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, we can obviously rule out Christianity for Gordon Gee. Putting somebody on a pedestal and bowing down to him.
My guess
that's one heck of a statement.
Yeah, it is. My guess is he was probably saying that in a joking manner, if I had to guess.
Yeah, for sure.
But there again,
it's an
example of an odd statement by Gordon Gee.
Yeah, no context, man. So we're just going to come up with our own context, at his expense. That's what we do here on YouTube. I mean, we don't even have anybody to answer to over it.
That's right, baby. We're independent. Yeah, you guys know we try to. Hey, you guys that watch us and follow us know we're not trying to. We're going to give you our thoughts on an article. We're not going to tell you that it's 100% accurate. We're just going to tell you how we see it.
So, odd statement by Gordon Gee. I mean, I appreciate what he. Don't want to leave out. Excuse me. The nice thing he said about Wren Baker there.
Absolutely.
I concur.
There was also some questions about Bob Huggins. At Eilert's opening press conference, Renbecker was asked about having kind of a ceremony for Bob Huggins during a game to let him go out on a more positive note. With the recent developments this summer, with him releasing the letter kind of advocating to get his job back, is that still the plan? And here's Gee's answer. We'll have to wait for a while. We'll have to let the coach have a cooling off period, I think is the best way to say it. I want to be very much on the record with this. Coach Huggins is a friend of mine. I think that his behavior is particularly disappointing to me because I liked him so much. Then the next question, have any further steps been discussed? Do you know what the next steps in the process with Coach Huggins are? Gee's response, Coach Huggins has resigned and is retired as far as we're concerned. I mean, he is no longer our coach, and he is no longer a member of our university family. He is a well-respected member of our community and will continue to be that. I think that's important. Paul, your thoughts?
Contradictory, for sure. It comes off as fake. Sorry, President D, if you watch this. But, you know, I was a fan of yours going back to Ohio State. Really liked some of your work, and the bow tie, it was always a great gig for you, I felt like. But generally, man, just I don't like these comments at all. They come off as snarky, kind of kicking him down a little bit, too. You know, to say in one sentence that somebody's a friend of yours and then saying that he's no longer a part of the thing he values as much or more than anything, I don't like that, you know, and Coach Huggins is more a part of this university than you'll ever be. Believe that. And we West Virginians will line up in the streets and scream it.
I can't follow that. I don't have anything to say. Yeah, I felt like you did, man. Gordon Gee just needs to I don't know, man. Maybe he just needs to stop talking. And I'm not trying to say he can't do his job or whatever.
No,
but
man,
I mean, I don't know. I'm just not a fan of some of these comments. And
he's just a controversial guy.
Yeah, he always has been. I mean, he has been almost every school he's been to. I mean, he was controversial at Vanderbilt. He was controversial at Ohio State.
I think that's why I liked him, just because he made it hard on Ohio
like
State.
I said earlier, I do respect the fact that he's open and honest, but there are times he probably shouldn't say anything. You know what I mean? But anyway.
Yeah.
Guys, like I said, I recommend you go check out the whole article about, he makes some really interesting comments about the cuts being made at the university. They ask him about his own salary, which is an extremely interesting comment he makes. He gets a little defensive, in my opinion, about that. So anyway, just go read it for yourself. We'll leave the link in the description box. Paul, is there anything else you want to add before we jump off of here, man?
Huggins is a part of West Virginia. Josh Eilert, hopefully he gets his rightful and full chance.
Yeah. This staff has done a fantastic job. He's hired a good coaching staff. You got Jay Kuntz, who continues to kill it as a personnel development and recruiting guy. You've got, all these guys, Eilert and his team are doing a phenomenal job. Renbaker doing a phenomenal job. Just give them all a chance to do it and do it well without all these distractions. That's what I like to see.
Yep.
That being said, guys, we ask that if you like the video, please hit the thumbs up button for us. If you thought it sucked, give us a thumbs down. That's okay too. Leave a comment below. Subscribe to the channel, guys. Help us get to 2,000 subscribers. If you want to come to a place that talks nothing but West Virginia, and we'll throw in an occasional Big 12 topic, but primarily West Virginia basketball, Hoops from the Hills is where you need to be, folks. Please come check us out. Make sure you subscribe. We hope to see you again here we hope to see you again soon with some more positive news. With that being said, this show is over, and we're out.